Picture the scene. You are 21 years old. You have earned a wildcard into your home Grand Slam. The French Open, Roland Garros, clay courts, a roaring Parisian crowd, the whole dream. And on your big debut, your body decides this is the perfect moment to stage a full-scale rebellion. This is the story of Arthur Géa, the young Frenchman whose first-round match against Karen Khachanov will be remembered for exactly one thing. And it had nothing to do with his forehand. Welcome to the channel. Grab a snack. Actually, you know what? Maybe don't. This one gets a little digestive. Let's set this up properly, because the context really matters here. Arthur Géa, 21 years old, ranked number 135 in the world. He gets a wildcard invitation from Roland Garros organizers to play in the main draw of his home Grand Slam. For a young player, this is the dream. You do not get a more meaningful stage than this. The catch? His opponent is Karen Khachanov, the 13th seed. A big-hitting, battle-tested veteran who has been deep in Grand Slams for years. On paper, this was always going to be a tough afternoon. And then there is the weather, because this is where the universe really started piling on. Paris was cooking. Lunchtime temperatures hit 31 degrees Celsius, that's about 88 to 90 Fahrenheit. Fans in the stands were literally fanning themselves with newspapers while players struggled to stay hydrated. Huge stage, brutal opponent, sweltering heat, already a recipe for a rough day. What nobody in that stadium knew yet was that Arthur's day was about to get significantly more memorable. I promised this would not be a dry point-by-point breakdown, and I am a man of my word. So here is the entire competitive story of this match in one breath. Khachanov was better, a lot better. Final score, 6-3, 7-6, 6-love. That's it, that's the tennis, straight sets for the Russian. But it is that first set where everything goes sideways. Géa is trailing, somewhere around 1-4 for 2, depending on which broadcast moment you are looking at. And he is visibly, deeply uncomfortable. This is the moment the entire tennis world is about to lean in. Géa walks up to the chair umpire, and he makes a request that, in tennis, you basically cannot make. In tennis, there is an unwritten and written etiquette around bathroom breaks. You take them between sets, not in the middle of one, definitely not when it disrupts your opponent's rhythm. It is just not done. Géa did not have time for etiquette. He tells the umpire, and I am quoting the broadcast here, "I cannot wait. It is not a joke." The umpire, citing the rules, says no, he cannot grant the break mid-set. This is where Arthur Géa abandons all remaining dignity in the name of basic human survival. Géa warned the official, in no uncertain and very unprintable terms, that if he did not get to leave the court right now, something catastrophic was going to happen. On the court, in front of everyone. When officials asked if it was a medical issue, Géa explained, in French, that he had diarrhea. Khachanov, standing on the other side, is just watching this whole negotiation unfold. 3 minutes pass, is wondering why his momentum has been put on pause for a bathroom debate. The set resumes briefly. Khachanov sends a forehand long, Géa wins the game. And the second that point ends, Arthur drops his racket against an advertising board and sprints off court like the building's on fire. Now, it would be very easy to file this under funniest tennis moments of the year and move on. And believe me, the internet did exactly that. But here is the part that actually makes you feel for the guy. This was not a player being dramatic. After the match, Géa explained the timeline. He said he was not sick the night before, he felt fine. But he woke up that morning feeling genuinely awful, and then, in his words, during the match, it was even worse. Add the 31-degree heat on top of an already churning stomach. And you've got a 21-year-old kid trying to play the biggest match of his life while his body is actively betraying him in front of a global audience. He was eventually allowed the break under medical circumstances, and he was given some medicine to settle the stomach pain. He came back out, he tried, but the tank was empty, and that final set tells you everything. Look at that scoreline one more time, 6-3, 7-6, and then 6-love. That last set, a bagel, as they call it in tennis, is the real story. Géa's energy dropped off a cliff. Reporting noted his levels fell dramatically in the final set. And honestly, how could they not? You cannot fight illness, a heatwave, and a top 15 seed all at once. A debut that was supposed to be the proudest day of his young career instead became the kind of memory you would happily trade away. Tough start, but hey, he is 21. There is a lot of tennis ahead. So how did the tennis world react? Let's start with the grown-ups in the room. On the broadcast, former British #1 Tim Henman gave maybe the most balanced take. He pointed out that this genuinely was not gamesmanship, it was a real medical situation. But he also had sympathy for Khachanov, noting the Russian had to serve that next game, so the delay had to be frustrating. Henman observed that Khachanov didn't handle it perfectly at first. He dropped the next 3 points to fall love 40. But then he dug in and steadied himself. Classic experienced pro move. When your opponent is physically struggling, you make them work, you make them move, you do not gift them free points. Even the analysts were essentially split between poor kid and poor Khachanov. What a weird thing to deal with. And then there is the internet, which, predictably, did not show the same restraint as Tim Henman. The clip went absolutely everywhere. Fans were calling it the most dramatic first set in Roland Garros history, and they did not mean the tennis. The jokes wrote themselves. One fan summed up the whole saga as proof that clay courts test everything, including your gut. Another declared the umpire deserved hazard pay for that particular conversation. The phrase emergency exit got a serious workout. But, and this is the part one genuinely loved, a lot of people swung the other way and felt for him. The most common sympathetic take? Something like, having to explain that, out loud, to total strangers, on live television, at your career-defining moment, that is the real nightmare. And you know what? They are right. We have all had a rough morning. Most of us did not have to negotiate hours with a chair umpire in front of a stadium. So that is the tale of Arthur Géa's French Open debut. The match he lost in straight sets, but the moment nobody will ever let him forget. The good news? He is young, he is talented, and he got his wildcard for a reason. The bad news? When you Google his name for the next little while, well, you already know what is coming up first. If this one made you laugh, or wince in deep personal sympathy, drop a like and hit subscribe. And let me know in the comments, should the umpire have just let him go the second he asked? I'll see you in the next one. And Arthur, we are rooting for you, buddy, both on the court and off it.